and welcome back to Jenny with a Y. Hope you all are having a great Friday or whichever day you happen to be watching this video. I kind of wanted to change track today and do another kind of like informational sharing advice type of video, but this time we're going to focus on careers. I also do have a bonus tip here at the end, so you'll want to stick around for that. Right now we are hardcore into spring. We're getting close to the end of spring and summer, and I think a lot of people are kind of itching to look for their next job, and especially as things are kind of opening up and relaxing and some of the restrictions are lifting, we may actually have to start doing some job interviews in person these days too. So I did want to offer some tips for job interviews, especially the more obscure tips that I think don't really get shared that much on a lot of popular career advice columns and articles, but they're ones that have really helped me in my journey. Now, a little bit of my background with job interviews is I have had a ton of job interviews. Okay, maybe not a ton, but there was a period of time in my background where I was really itching to get out of my current role, and therefore I ended up going through probably about 40 plus job interviews that year, with a variety of different companies and everything too. So definitely had a lot of time to practice those skills and kind of hone my technique, and also really kind of look at what the heck was I thinking when I went in this certain direction. So yeah, without further ado, let's start going into those tips. Tip number 1, watch your diet. Now, I'm sure a lot of us have heard advice regarding getting a good night's sleep. Get a good night's sleep, get a good night's sleep. Yeah, I'm not refuting it. That is something that's pretty common knowledge, but I don't think what's shared as often is to watch your diet the day before and the day of a job interview. Now, we want to control the involuntary issues and things and functions that can come up at the worst of times, right? And what's worse than having tummy jitters or a squeamish stomach or any kind of digestive upset in the middle of a job interview? In fact, chances are good that your stomach's already clenching and you're feeling nervous as it is, right? Or maybe that's just me. I tend to be a nervous job interviewer myself, so the more things I can do to make it smooth and easy and reduce stress and reduce stomach upset, so much the better. So what I mean by watch your diet, I mean, probably chances are good you're not going in for a photo shoot or anything, but in order to ease digestion during this time, I would recommend avoiding any food that's like overly salty, fatty, of course that means the fried foods, anything oily or greasy or extremely spicy or fatty, or also avoid trying any new restaurants or like new places. I would avoid getting dishes that you've never tried before, and test it out on your stomach before successfully. The night before and the day of a job interview, you might want to keep with very like simple kind of, I don't know what you would say, I guess like certain type of cuisine that's a little bit easier on the stomach, like rice dishes that are not oily or spicy, right? Oatmeal's a really good one. If you've got a morning interview and your interview's before lunch, you might want to have oatmeal. Now, I realize that this tip kind of almost applies more to in-person than perhaps than if you have a phone screen, but let's be honest, with all job interviews, you want your stomach to feel nice and calm. So what I would really advise for your diet is to keep it kind of simple and calm. Like good dishes are going to be rice dishes, depending some pasta dishes, but just avoid oily, spicy kinds of foods and you should do fine. In fact, foods that I would probably recommend would be a banana. Depending on the timing of your interview, you could combine it into a smoothie. You could cut it up and put on your oatmeal. Potassium in banana has been proven, I think it's been proven, to help reduce some of the stress that comes from it. Like the potassium helps to alleviate your stress. At least I think that's what I remember. I did grab this tip from Cassandra Thompson and her career advice column. So you may want to check out her pages too. Her pages have been a really big help to me. But yeah, all in all, just watch your diet. Make sure it's nothing that's going to be punching you in the stomach in the middle of a time where you need to be as clear-headed and focused as possible. Tip number 2. This one mainly applies to phone interviews, but it can also be helpful for in-person interviews as well. It's to help keep your throat clear. I a lot of times like to have a cup of tea, like green tea, or it doesn't have to be green tea, cup of your favorite tea mixed with a bit of honey and a squeeze of lemon juice. And what's going to happen here is that the lemon juice is going to cut through the excess phlegm in case you have any extra phlegm in your throat, and then the honey is going to coat your throat too. So that way your voice sounds nice and clear and you're not constantly stuck trying to clear your throat. I myself have had a weird thing where it's like when I get nervous or stressed, it's like I need to clear my throat and I'm like coughing and it's gross, right? Don't want to have that during a job interview. I want to sound as calm and confident as possible. Fake it till you make it. We're faking our confidence here. I don't want to be coughing all over the place. So I'll have a nice hot beverage, like I said, mainly focus on something where I'm mixing honey and lemon juice together to help soothe my throat, and it'll prevent the extra coughing. And as an added bonus, I know this isn't tea, but holding on to a warm mug can be very soothing. So let's say you have a phone interview and you have your hot beverage. Of course, you've got your notes and everything all lined up for you. Holding on to the mug, it's kind of a soothing action, right? Like you're holding on to a warm mug. It's toasting up your hands. I don't know. I think it's soothing. So that's just an added benefit to having that hot beverage. Now, the twist is if you are going in person, you could have your hot beverage in a camel mug? In a travel mug with you. I have done that. I did not bring the tea inside, but once I parked, left the tea and took one last sip, left the tea in the car. But it helped kind of clear my throat on the way in. So works mainly for phone interviews, but I mean, you can definitely, as you just heard there, you can definitely apply it to the in-person interviews as well if you suffer from not having a clear throat. All right, for tip number 3, use antiperspirant on your hands. What this is going to do is it will help make sure that you are not clammy hand. This is for in-person, right? So for an in-person interview, because some people are starting to open up and allow that to happen. And even the other year, I actually had someone in the throes of the whole situation request that if I was comfortable, I would come in office. And I was like, oh, we're going to be using this tip. This helps reduce clammy hands when you're shaking hands with people. I'm not usually a clammy hand kind of person. That's not usually my concern or issue. But when you put me in a case of extreme duress, like a job interview, yeah, I'm gonna get some clammy hands at the end of that interview. And you go in for the handshake and you're like, oh, or I've done the whole like, let me rub my palms on my slacks really quick and make them all gross. Then go in for the handshake. No. We can avoid this. So I use this Dove Advanced Care coconutty one. And what I'll do is when I'm driving up, like sometimes I'll do it when I'm still at the house. Other times I'll do it when I'm in the car on the way. Well, not obviously while I'm driving on the way, but like maybe I parked or something. Or right before I step into the car to take off for my interview. That's probably your best time. Right before you step into your car to take off for your interview, I will rub a little bit of the deodorant and antiperspirant into my palms. I'll kind of rub it in. I'll wipe off the excess on a towel. And yeah, it really helps keep me nice and dry. Now, the one thing you do want to watch out for though, is that watch out for the fragrance of your antiperspirant, right? You may actually want to get like maybe a little travel size that's in a more neutral fragrance, because if you go in there smelling like Secret's Powder Fresh, or you know, like an Old Spice, or I don't know, just something that's very strong and potent and kind of recognizable as a classic deodorant and antiperspirant scent. Yeah, let's avoid that. Try to pick something that's a little bit more neutral. The one I just showed you is a very clean smell, that cucumber one, Cucumber Fresh or whatever. It's very clean smelling. It's just very light, so just something to keep in mind. But it's been so helpful. I've used that for every single in-person interview I have. For my next tip, take your allergy medication. Now, I can't tell you to take allergy medication if you're not already taking allergy medication, but if you're already currently on a routine, make a special note to definitely take it the day of your job interview, because the last thing you want is to be sniffling and sneezing and red-eyed and watery node and have a watery nose for your interview, right? We want to be as calm as possible. We want to be as comfortable as possible. And so that's where taking your allergy medication comes into handy. If your doctor has already advised you. I am not a doctor. No doctorate here. I am not an MD. I am not your physician. I cannot tell you to do something, but if you already have talked to a physician and you're already on a regimen of taking your your allergies and your antihistamines and stuff, that's what we want to do. Also, give a thumbs up or, shoot me the word in the comments if you like videos of this type of content. And if you'd like to continue to see more of them, if you find this kind of stuff helpful, or if you'd prefer that I go back to more like the roller skate and the other experience vlog kind of material instead. All right, for my final tip here today, it has to do with, it's kind of a twist on a traditional tip. So I know we've all heard, lots of us, let's just put it that way, lots of us have heard to practice your job interview questions before an interview. There's a ton out online. You can Google up common job interview questions and go through them. And we've also heard, hey, practice them out loud. But how many of us practice our job interview questions while being recorded? A lot of us have smartphones and cell phones sitting in our pocket these days and have the ability to record, do a video recording of us answering common job questions. And you could even ask yourself the question and then answer it. And what I want you to do is play it back and look for areas for improvement. I found that with a lot of my recordings at first, I had this trend of twirling my hair. And I realized that did not look as confident as I wanted it to. A quick hair twirl here and there, sure, that's fine. But if you're constantly reaching up and tugging on your hair, or you have another nervous twitch that you're seeing kind of come out, or maybe you're seeing that you're sitting there static, almost scared in your seat, and you're not moving at all when you're answering, it helps to see a video recording. It really does. Practice makes perfect, yes, but also practicing it, doing a recording, and then watching yourself play it back, that has been critical to my success in being able to confidently answer routine job interview questions, especially some of the trickier ones where it's like, tell me about a time with a negative experience with a coworker. Those uncomfortable questions, or tell me why you're interested in this company. All the ones that for some reason can kind of throw us off. If you not only practice them and practice them out loud, but practice them out loud being recorded and play that recording back, I think you'd be amazed at some of the stuff you pick up on, and then also how you improve. Plus, being on camera is a new kind of pressure, and it might actually get you more comfortable for upcoming video interviews, because some companies go a step further outside of phone interviews and in-person interviews, and they'll do a video interview. And you want to be prepared with how to look into the camera for a consistent period of time. I actually even had a job interview It was quite a few years ago, but I had a job interview where they had a question on the screen, and then they had my laptop like video record me answering said question, and then they watched my clips later on to get a feeling on if they wanted to progress me along in the process or say bye. But anywho's, yes, so that's it. That's all I have for today. I think that was somewhere between 4 and 5 tips, a little bit more obscure, a little bit more unusual. I hope you all are doing well. If you are about to go into a job interview, which I have a feeling you might be because you clicked on this video, I wish you luck. Hopefully you find a really good fit for you. And yeah, let me know in the comments. Bye.